I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. And this is This Week
in Cruton.
We're getting better at this.
I try to set up, like, look into the camera. Hold the microphone.
I need this to be as cheesy 80s like intro as possible.
We can spice it up then. In Cruton.
In Cruton. It's Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at gpower79 to follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1. We are now into silly season for recruiting.
It is.
We are closing, and I always feel like these couple of weeks are crazier than like actual signing day, because this feels like that final sprint that you're trying to lock up the final pieces of your class.
2 signing days now, so we're still adjusting to it after last year was the first one, but some players are picking up steam, and we'll get around to our recruiting notebook for this week, the recruiting dump on TexasFootball.com. A lot of players from North Shore still on the market.
No way!
Surprisingly.
Let's start with one guy, our prospect on the rise, Galena Park North Shore defensive back, Dorian Hewett. Obviously, when you play with the kind of caliber of kids that he does, where the underclassmen, I think there's a lot of focus on the guys who were juniors this year and sophomores this year. But here's a senior, a guy in the 2019 class who is a superstar in Galena Park North Shore safety, Dorian Hewett. This guy is a big reason why they won a state championship.
And you'll see him here playing kind of like a nickel back type spot where he can close on the football quickly, delivers a big boom. And I think that's probably a good position for him going forward. But really, he's had one of the more interesting run of 7 to 10 days in recruiting this whole year. Just really been busy with schools coming by, picking up new offers. And a major one for him, and would be for anybody, is USC.
Sure.
When the Trojans come calling, I think that's a eye-opener. The one-time Syracuse commitment will take an official visit to L.A. to take that all in after he takes an official visit to Syracuse. This weekend, Utah is another school that's offered him, is in a really good spot to land him. Will be interesting to see if maybe someone closer to home steps up, but the time is quickly running out, as you stated. National Signing Day, the final National Signing Day, signing on February 6th. So we'll see how this thing wraps up, but I'd keep a close eye on Utah and USC out west.
Yeah, he took a visit to Utah in January 11th. Syracuse, you said he was a one-time commit. That's obviously Kirk Martin, probably doing some work.
Former Manville head coach.
Yeah, doing some work down there in his old stomping grounds, a team in North Shore that he's familiar with. One thing that's interesting, though, is USC does already have a safety commit. Utah and Syracuse do not. And so, I wonder if that's something they're going to try to sell him. But this is a kid who, look, he arrives at the ball with intentions to separate you from it.
Well, and I don't know if I'd peg him down. You see guys playing safety in high school and necessarily say he's going to be 100% safety. He has the size and attributes more as a cornerback, nickelback style player. He can certainly play physically enough to be considered a safety on the college level, but he would probably have to add some size to be in the box quite often dealing with the run game. So, I think he's a guy whose position flexibility and versatility has kept him alive on a lot of recruiting boards, and I think that's why you see these offers coming in.
And now let's go to our commit of the week. It was kind of all eyes on this guy, and a guy who I think because he got injured this year, people maybe forgot how good this guy is. But Jalen Catalon, the safety at Mansfield Legacy, we kind of knew him better as the guy who was thrown in to be the quarterback for Mansfield Legacy when they very nearly made it to the state championship game in 2017. But this kid, there was a moment there where, and I don't watch every recruit like you do, but there was a moment where I was like, this guy's the best player in the state. He commits to Arkansas, and boy, doing work is Chad Morris.
I feel like you're in my head, as far as Jalen Catalon. You kind of took a little bit about what I was going to say, too. That's cool. You hit the nail on the head with him, that a lot of people have swept him under the rug because he didn't play in 2018. 2017, I think I'm right there with you. He's, as far as football players go, Jalen Catalon is one of, and I think the argument could be made in the class of 2019, quite possibly the best all-around football player in the state of Texas. And that was coming off of a strong 2017 season where he played both ways. And what I really love about Catalan is his closing speed, and you'll see it right there. He closes in a flash. You saw him coming from the far hash all the way to the sideline to make a hit on that highlight play. So there are just things that he brings to the table from a leadership standpoint, and he may not be the biggest guy on the field, but he's going to be one of the most active.
That's the thing that I always struck. Like whenever I watched him play at whether he was playing quarterback or he was playing safety, and he was kind of thrust into the quarter. He is not a quarterback at the next level. I want to be clear. He's a safety at the next level. But they moved him around, and there's always those guys that you watch and you go, oh, that's the best player on the field every time. And Jalen Catalan was that guy. And watching him, obviously we have to rely on his junior tape because I think, he got injured in the first game. I want to say the first series. Yeah. He got injured real early, but this guy is a dynamo, and Mansfield Legacy found ways to get him the ball, and it would not be a surprise to me. You're seeing him return punts here. It would not be a surprise to me if they try to find a way, if Arkansas tries to find a way to get the ball in his hands too, maybe in special teams.
Well, the zero angle is the point between where the ball carrier and the defender meet.
Yes.
And Catalan makes plays consistently behind that angle. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that only a few guys, period, in the whole country can do. Catalan has that special ability. And I think he'll be big enough, physical enough to be able to take the pounding of the SEC. I think that's the one question mark, but I think he can stand up.
But this is a guy who everyone was after. I mean, he had the offer from Alabama, offer from Texas, offer from TCU, offer from Oklahoma, and they were all hard after him. And boy, Chad Morris and Mark Smith doing work. That is a huge.
It's an impressive class.
It's a really, really good class for a team that went 2-10.
Right.
I mean, that's impressive to do that. We're talking with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete, here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. All right, let's talk Underclassman of the Week. We're going to Denton Ryan. We're talking to a guy with the last name Sanders. Amazing that they just continue to put out Sanders. The Sanders tree is lush and always putting out fruit. Denton Ryan, defensive end and tight end Jatavian Sanders is the latest one. And this is a guy who I think is starting to make some noise, and people are starting to go, oh, you seem pretty good.
And you're going to watch this highlight tape roll as we talk about him. Keep in mind the highlight tape you're watching was made after week 3. So pretty good highlight tape for a guy who played, 11 more games. He's a guy who can really play on both sides of the football. Checked in at 6'3", 220 at the Next Level Athlete Camp in Dallas on January 13th. I think his best position for college is probably going to be defensive end, and I think where a lot of these offers are coming in, but he's really exploded onto the national recruiting scene because of the offers that have come in. Baylor, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, and then Texas A&M was a capper this week, kind of giving him that big in-state offer on his list. Missouri as well has offered him in the SEC. So quite a run that he's been on, and a lot of eyes are starting to open to his talent, upside, and potential. Of course, still has 2 years of high school ball left. So you're talking about a guy who could end up with 30, 40 maybe national offers. I mean, he's got 8 now.
Well, and I mean,
7, 8 in 1 week.
The size that he's got as a sophomore right now is awful impressive. That's what jumps off the page. And then you watch his ball skills, and you see like he's and a lot of guys you see that have the size, but as sophomores maybe they don't know what they're doing. I mean, this is a guy who's already got a good head for the game, and obviously has a lot of skills that aren't just reliant on his size. He's also got great ball skills as well.
Denton guys seem to be pretty tough in college. He's being coached on the defensive front by Aaron De La Torre, who knows a little bit about coaching college players. Former head coach at Irving High. Denton Ryan's a school that colleges live in. So, I mean, this guy knows what it's like to go against top competition in practice, knows what it's like to play on a top team. So sky's the limit for him. If he can keep his head straight in the classroom and take care of business off the field, he's going to be a guy who is a big-time national recruit.
Finally, let's talk about our prospect or recruit of the week, rather. Recruit of the week is Plano East safety Tyler Owens, a Texas signee. This guy certainly has the measurable, 6'2", 200, and I know that you really like his potential, a guy who maybe who could end up being that guy a little bit, maybe a little bit of a lottery ticket, but if he hits, he's certainly got the measurables to make it count.
Hey, Max, you have a hot button topic graphic over there. Tyler Owens was a hot button topic yesterday as he was made a 5-star.
I need an alarm or something, some siren that goes off.
A lot of debate going on about Tyler Owens' skill set. This is all I know. He was made a 5-star. Has world-class speed, and that's something, if you're Tyler Owens, if you're a Texas fan, it's something to be celebrated today, not necessarily picked apart and discussed all the time about is he this or is he that. Well, he is a 5-star now by one of the major recruiting services. Congratulations to Tyler Owens. That's a big deal. I'm sure the Texas Longhorn fans are really fired up to have another 5-star on their list, and especially a guy to put into that defensive backfield mix with Caden Stearns, Brandon Jones, DeMarvion Overshawn, Anthony Cook. They've really put together what I think is conference-changing defensive backfield players.
Yeah.
And Tyler Owens is another brick in that wall. And now there's some pressure on him as one of, if not the most highly rated guys in this Texas class to hit, because he's going to have to make that defensive backfield stay on that same path.
Yeah, because that's the thing is that, you look at this, and Texas used to be DBU, right? This was something that, when you go back to that time in the 2000s when they were really, the team to beat in the Big 12, a national contender. For all we talk about the offensive playmakers, the Colt McCoys and the Vince Youngs and those guys, I think that what made Texas great and what made Texas an elite program was the fact that their secondary year in and year out was astonishingly good. And right now you can start to see those bricks being laid, as you said, to make it once again a dominant unit in the Big 12.
And I think a case is to be made where the Big 12 is lost in the recruiting wars over the last 5 or 6 years has been in the defensive backfield. Mm-hmm. You have some of your best defensive talents at that position going to LSU, going to Alabama. It's been pretty consistent. Deontay Thompson, Tony Brown, Grant Delpit, who was an original Texas guy, Jamal Adams. Mm-hmm. You're talking about all these guys who've starred in the SEC and now are going on to have success in the NFL, who would have typically been Big 12 guys, and those are the guys who Texas is now keeping at home.
Right.
And I think that's huge. That's who's Texas A&M is now keeping at home in this class with a guy like Brian Williams, Eric Young. So those guys are starting to come back home, even though SEC is still, with LSU and Alabama, recruiting the state very vigorously. Some of those guys have decided to stay in Texas.
He is Greg Powers. He is the recruiting analyst for Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowers79 and follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1. And I understand we're going to have some more hashtag content coming out on the site soon.
Yeah, keep it locked on TexasFootball.com. There's some big changes coming for recruiting.
Gasp.
Oh, man.
Yes. Powers.
Is that enough of a preview? I mean, I don't know.
That's pretty good. I like it.
We'll close with that.
Powers, thanks for your time.
Thanks, man.
We'll see you next week.